something about it. So, in February of this year, I began to listen with my inner ear. I began to hear him tell me he had more than enough money, with plenty to spare. In May, he told me he came into an inheritance. He didn't say how much. So, if you will do anything to anyone, believing you are really doing it to Christ, you will be amazed at what will happen in your world. Now, let me share with you 2 stories that were waiting for me when I returned, but the first from Barbados recently. This gentleman said, "A co-worker and I have lunch almost every day together." For some time, he spent the entire lunch period telling me about his financial problems. Although I appeared to be interested, I really wasn't, and wondered to myself how he could possibly believe the things he was telling me. After hearing the same stories over and over again, I decided that indifference was not the answer, and I must do something about it. So, in February of this year, I began to listen with my inner ear. I began to hear him tell me he had more than enough money, with plenty to spare. In May, he told me he came into an inheritance. He didn't say how much, but the first thing he did was buy himself a cabin cruiser that sleeps 4. Then he sent his oldest son off to college, made extensive repairs on his home, bought himself a new wardrobe and a new car. But more important to me, I discovered that my awareness has power, that indifference is not enough, I have to act. My friend acted, and as he did it unto one of the least of these, he did it unto me. Then he said every week, "I have my hair cut by a certain barber." Even though I have moved, I continued to go to his shop every Saturday, until one day it was closed. Deciding to look locally, I found a shop with 4 barbers and sat in the owner's chair. Each week, regardless of my request, he would not take off enough of my hair. So, having watched the other barber, I decided to go to number 4. If you know anything about a barber shop, the number 4 man is the last one to arrive and is working his way up to number 1. While sitting in his chair, I asked him if he liked barbering, and he replied that he loved it and would love to go to an internationally recognized school for barbering. Once I discovered that he really wanted not just to be a barber, but to be the best barber possible, I began to listen with my inner ear and heard him tell me how he graduated from the school and how much he had learned. And do you know, he not only went to the school but was the top man in his class. Then, he bought out the barber, changed the personnel, and even has a receptionist to answer the phones. Now, I see him every Saturday at 11 a.m. by appointment. Here is a man who saw Christ in one of the least of these, and clothed him in his desire, fed his desire, and gave him the living water to drink through the use of his imagination. In this world, all kinds of services are needed. What if there were no barbers, only hippies, and you had to cut your own hair? Suppose there were no waitresses or ladies who are willing to clean our homes. They are Christ. Each time Doris comes to clean our home, Christ walks through our door. One day she told me of a friend who had an accident. He wasn't hurt, but the car was. Then I said, "Doris, you can always buy a car, but your friend was made by God, so rejoice because he was not injured." Do you know that thought changed her completely? She attends the Catholic Church, but was never told that God made her because he loved her, that he never made a thing he didn't love. Man makes cars and can replace them, but no man can replace Doris. That's how valuable she is in the eyes of God.